I would like to welcome all of you on this online conference in which we are going to talk about the outcome of the presidential elections, and I'm very glad that we have with us Senator Sitara Ayaz, who was also there with us in as an international election observer, and we also have Dr. Mehboob Hussain from Punjab University with us, and he was also with us as international election observer. I was also there as international election observer, and I will give my observations and my point of view later. But let me first introduce you our friend from Uzbekistan, Mr. Eldor. He is from the Development Strategy Center, which is directly working under the President of Uzbekistan and President's office. So, and this conference and this session is being organized with Development Strategy Center and PRCCSF. So, first of all, without wasting any time, I would request Mr. Eldor to please first introduce about Development Strategy Center so that all of us know that what your center is doing, and then please tell us that why these elections are held before time and about the outcome from the Uzbek side. So over to Mr. Eldor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum, dear friends, everyone. We are very much pleased to see you all at this international conference. We really appreciate the assistance of our Pakistani friends who have contributed into the elections of Uzbekistan that we have recently held as international observers. And I had a chance to meet with our friend Dr. Khalid Taimur Akram and Dr. Mehboob personally during their visits, and I welcome Senator Sitara Ayaz. Thank you all again for your contributions, for your help in monitoring the elections. And I also want to thank Mr. Khalid Taimur Akram and his team in organizing this wonderful event together with our Pakistani friends. We really are grateful for this initiative to you. And as for the elections, and yes, you asked me about the Development Strategy Center to talk very briefly. We were established to monitor the ongoing reforms from the side of the civil society. So we closely work with all ministries and agencies in Uzbekistan because they are the ones who are implementing the strategies that are adopted by the president, by the people. So they keep us in touch who is doing what and how they are handling all these issues that they are in task to implement. So we do that, and then based on that, we inform the society, both local and international society, on what's happening in Uzbekistan, with the aim to get their feedback, with the aim to get their observations or their proposals on what else Uzbekistan needs to concentrate on to progress its reforms, to increase the efficiency of its reform. So that's why we are an open institution for proposals, for ideas, for the development of Uzbekistan in a variety of spheres. As for the elections, yes, you know that it was organized by the Central Election Commission of Uzbekistan because it's the requirement of the Constitution of Uzbekistan, Article 129, and the Election Code of Uzbekistan. So they were the institution which was in charge. And the campaign, the whole presidential campaign, took place during 1 month from June 7th until July 7th. And we should note that to make the polling stations easily accessible, as close as possible to the people, more than 10,000 polling stations were established throughout the whole country. And we should also note that Uzbekistan also wanted their citizens living abroad to exercise their right to vote. So that's why 56 polling stations were established in 39 foreign countries for the citizens of Uzbekistan who live abroad. Other than that, we should also note that not everyone would be available to vote on the 9th of July. So that's why early voting at polling stations for voters who could not be present on the 9th of July was also made possible by the Central Election Committee. So that's why the process started on June 29th and ended on July 5th, according to which those who could not vote on that day could vote earlier. And the Central Election Commission noted that more than 815,000 voters exercised this right to vote early. And as for the candidates, yes, we should also note that during the election campaign, candidates enjoyed equal rights of access to media. They were all allocated similar time on radio, on TV. Similarly, candidates had an equal space in Republican and 24 local newspapers, where they could also mention about what they want to give to the society if they are elected. And each candidate also had a chance to showcase their video materials, both on TV and on the billboards that were established throughout the whole country. For example, during the information campaign, the Central Election Commission noted that more than 690,000 copies of informational posters with the presidential candidate's biography and a pre-election program summary were placed. Moreover, almost 400,000 posters calling for the elections of the president of Uzbekistan were also placed throughout the whole country, so that the people know when the elections are and so that they come to vote. Additionally, we should also note that 966 billboards across the Republic were installed, and as we mentioned, they were also monitors installed, which showcase the videos about the candidates and their programs, including to have maximum coverage. Those monitors were also installed in metro stations in the places where most people get together. During the election of the president, as I mentioned earlier, important part of this are the international observers. And we should note that overall 797 international observers were accredited in Uzbekistan. And if you look at the division of them, 331 observers came from 47 countries, and 466 observers came from 15 international organizations to monitor the elections. At the same time, to ensure openness and transparency, of course, media has also been active during the whole process of elections, and more than 1,400 local and foreign journalists were invited to monitor, to give information about the whole process of elections. So they particularly also noted the important change in Uzbekistan's electoral legislation and the practice in a very short period of time. Other than that, of course, very importantly, the Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe and the long-term missions of the Commonwealth of Independent States directly monitored the entire electoral process. Also, we should also note that there were observers from the Inter-Parliamentary Assembly of the Commonwealth of Independent States, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and the Organization of Turkish States. Besides, of course, local observers also were present during the whole process of elections to preserve recognized international principles. And as you, most of you know, the election started at 8 a.m. and ended at 8 p.m. On the 9th of July. And on July 11th, the Central Election Commission of Uzbekistan announced the final results of the elections held on July 9th. And we should note that more than 79% of the of the 19 million people actually exercised their right and they came to vote. And this also shows the high interest from the side of the society for the future of Uzbekistan and for what's happening currently in Uzbekistan, and their very much involvement in the political life of the whole country. And you know well that, dear friends, that 87%, 0.5% of voters who participated in the elections voted for the current president, Shavkat Mirziyoyev, the candidate nominated by the Liberal Democratic Party of Uzbekistan and the Military Democratic Party of Uzbekistan. And we, of course, as an institution, observed very clearly on the comments, on the proposals of international observers, including yours. We had a chance to talk to you on your thoughts about the whole process of the elections. And here I should, for example, mention that the General Secretary of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Mr. Zhang Min, also noted that they observed voting processes in several dozen polling stations, and the fact that he was happy that parents brought with them the kids to the polling stations. This is one note. Another note is that here Ashar bin Azizan, former Speaker of the House of Representatives of and the former chairman of the Election Commission of Malaysia, also noted the voting process, that it went smoothly, that he did not observe any cases of non-compliance with national electoral legislation and international democratic norms. And here I should also note, dear friends, that on July 12th, the Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Shahbaz Sharif, also congratulated, among many other leaders of the world, our president on his election victory. They also talked about the importance of implementing contracts and agreements accepted at the highest level in trade, economic, investment, transport, logistics, and cultural and humanitarian spheres. Special attention, of course, was paid to the promotion of the Trans-Afghan Railway construction process. So that's why I believe that the results of the current presidential election shows that there should be stability, there should be a prosperity in Uzbekistan. The agreements reached between many other countries, including our close friends like Pakistan, should be implemented in a very short time, hopefully. And we as a society, as active members of the society, hope to contribute in these processes by giving feedback, by giving proposals, by discussing the outcomes of their policy. So I really hope that we will be cooperating in this process, as it's the main aim of the Development Strategy Center, to contribute in the ongoing processes of reforms. And using this chance, dear friends, I once again want to thank you all for your hard work in observing the elections, in your contributions, in giving a feedback in the reform processes. And plus, of course, I look forward to hearing your thoughts, dear friends, about the organizational process of elections and about your further recommendations on our activities on the political reforms of the country. Thank you very much. I pass the floor to our friend, Mr. Khalid.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eldor. Now we know exactly about elections and everything else. We have our sister Senator Sitara Ayaz with us. She is also the General Secretary of the International Parliamentary council which they have made, and she has been international election observer in many countries. So we would just ask her that so that you can get a clear picture and that how the election observers felt. So over to Senator Sitara Ayaz.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me here. Indeed, it's my pleasure to be with you, all of you again, to see you, everyone here. Well, I heard what our friend was saying, and yes, it was a very well organized election. And we went to the election commissioner office also, where we got a full picture of the whole election. And then in the city also, we saw people, we talked to people, and we had some queries and we had some questions which we asked, and we got answers which satisfied us. As you said, that I visited many countries as an election observer. And recently I visited Thailand also, but I must say and appreciate the election commissioner of Uzbekistan, the way they conducted their election. It was really appreciable. And it was quite open. We, as I said, that we spoke to different people also. It's not like we just went to the polling stations. And the good thing which I really liked is that when we visited the first day, I asked about the posters and different regarding election campaign. And they said that before 3 days before the election, they cleaned all the cities. So there were no posters, there were nothing in the city, and the city was very clean. So personally, I really liked that thing, that 3 days or 4 days before elections, they just cleared the whole country. Now, then the other thing is, which our brother also mentioned, is that all the political parties, like the 4 of the candidates, they got equal representation in media, in TV, radio, and in press. So that is also, we appreciated this thing. And then what I liked the most, which I mentioned that day, there was a program here, and the ambassador of Uzbekistan was also invited. And I mentioned that, and that was very close to my heart, and that is the special people. There was a separate place for special people. But then the other thing which I like is that people who were bedridden and couldn't come to cast their vote, there was a small box which we were told that anyone who wants to they can take this small box to them, the bedridden people, to cast their vote. So that is really, really, I was very impressed by this thing, because majority I saw that the bedridden people or the people at homes who cannot come out, they cannot cast their vote. So that was also things which I really like. Then there are 2008, I guess, polling stations, and round about 800 or 700 and something election observers were invited. So it was covered, like all the polling stations were almost covered. In many countries, we saw that when we went, it's only like few polling stations where you go and you check and then you come back. But over there, almost all the polling stations were covered. So that was, though there was, I was going through the social media over there. So there were some objections, there were some criticism, and I think it's a part of good work when you get criticism. So there were on the social media, but I believe that overall it was free and fair elections, and we as whatever we noticed over there, we couldn't notice anything which we can say that it's not, it was not a free and fair election. I thanked everyone. I thank the government of Uzbekistan. I thank the election commission of Uzbekistan. They invited us and they took a very good care also of us, but they gave us a chance to meet the people of Uzbekistan and to get feedback from them. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Ayaz. Thank you for these observations, for these remarks on the whole process. You noted all the results of the government's efforts to make sure that everyone votes. So especially, you just mentioned an example with a small box, which travels all around the village so that everyone, even those who cannot come physically, have the right to vote. Thank you very much for these kind words.
Thank you very much. Now we move forward to Lahore, where we have Dr. Mehboob Hussain with us, and Dr. Mehboob was also an international election observer at the. He was also international election observer at the elections, and he also visited many polling stations, and he also made his own opinion. So I would now like to request Dr. Mehboob to please give his viewpoint.
Thank you very much, Brother Khalid Taimur Akram Saab and Mr. Eldor, Madam Sitara, Ayaz, and other colleagues. Thanks for providing me the opportunity to speak before you people. So it's really a great honor for me to share my experience as an election observer. I just extend the words of Madam Sitara Ayaz. The arrangements of the Central Election Commission of Uzbekistan has made to conduct a free and fair elections, especially that the people who were not able to visit the polling stations were provided facility by mobile drop boxes. This is a good idea. I really like this idea. You just drop an email or a phone call to the election members and they get your vote by your doorsteps. So the polling staff visited their homes to make them cast their votes. So that's why the turnout is a remarkably reached a point. So the public were enthusiastic to participate in the electoral process. The people of every age, males, females, and youth were found casting their votes at the polling stations. We watched the old peoples like 80+ age who was not able to walk but cast their votes on wheelchair. Similarly, I just an experience a young man who cast their first vote. So the polling station where I visited, the polling staff gave him a gift as a token for their first vote of cast. So this is encouragement of the voters to cast their votes. So in this regard, I would say being a multi-party presidential democratic country, 4 different political parties rigorously participated in the elections. And this is also from my side a good experience or a surprise that there was no banner, no postcard, no screens on the city sides. I also asked some persons, as compared to on Pakistani side, we found different placards, banners, posters, everything in even on election day. But there was a very clean city. So it was a very good experience. We talked different peoples about the incumbent government. So they said the government, the governance model was very good. They have good neighborhood with the other Central Asian states. Their greater regional connectivity agenda and protection of necessities of the life to human rights, attracting different segments of the society. So that's why the incumbent president got a huge margin. Similarly, the state remained neutral before and during the election process. There was no pre and post political engineering in Uzbekistan. We witnessed at all. The Election Commission, being the independent organization, remained totally impartial and absolutely vigilant to maintain utmost impartiality. So transparency and accountability, and held a tremendous election in which not a single incident of fake or proxy voting was found there. So if I say my feelings about the society, I witnessed through my visit of different polling stations, it reflects a high level of political maturity from the people side as well. They just reach their polling stations and show their identity in the shape of passport or the card, and the polling staff very smooth way give them ballot paper, and people's very easy way cast their votes. So frankly speaking, all SOPs of the electoral code, political parties, procedure, and political campaign was strictly enforced, and that was a very good experience. So as our friend Eldor said, about 50 million voters with turnout of more than 85%. So this is a good achievement by the Election Commission and whole election process. This shows the confidence of the people on the electoral process. So more than 800 or around 800 international observers were there. NGOs involved, vibrant media was there, 47 countries observers was there. So in the presence of all these institutions, I must say that was a very good experience from my side. At the end, once again, I would like to thank you, the Uzbek government, who provided me the opportunity to visit as an observer. And I must say the thank you to the Uzbek ambassador in Pakistan. He facilitated me to give to personally participate in the whole election process. So thank you very much once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mehboob, for your very kind words. We were very much pleased to host you, to meet with you and talk about the future plans. And thank you for your kind words about the elections. And one thing I want to note, the similar thing that you, Dr. Mehboob, noted, and Senator Sitara has noted about the posters that they are cleaned according to the current election law. It's a requirement of the law because of the silent day, a day before the election. Measures are taken to clean the whole areas from those posters asking people to vote or giving information about the candidates, so that they can digest the whole information that they receive during the election campaign process and make their choice without any other future influence. So this is a requirement of the law, to keep them alone, let them alone, so that they decide which candidate they pick without any further information or influence. So this is a requirement, and that's why they try to clean it. But until then, you could have noticed the boom of information everywhere, especially the fact that now everything is electronic. Even walking around the whole city, you could see those candidates' information. Thank you for these observations. Yes.
Thank you very much. Now, I would request our researcher, Ms. Hafsa Akram. She is one of our researchers who has been doing a lot of research on Uzbekistan, and while you were having your elections in Uzbekistan, so researchers in Pakistan were very keenly looking at these elections. So I would now request Ms. Hafsa Akram that she will give her viewpoint that how the researchers in Pakistan.
Thank you, sir, for granting me the opportunity to address here today. I am very humbled and honored to present this speech on outcomes on Uzbekistan presidential elections and the remarkable reforms and modernization. In recent years, under the leadership of President Shavkat Mirziyoyev, Uzbekistan has made remarkable strides toward development, modernizations, and advancement. The recent presidential elections held in Uzbekistan were conducted in full compliance with the electoral legislation as well as international norms, rules, and standards. These democratic ideals promoted openness, transparency, justice throughout the electoral process. These frameworks aims to foster good governance, protect fundamental rights, ensure efficient management, and provide social guarantee. President Mirziyoyev remains steadfast to his commitment to the continued progress and advancement of Uzbekistan. Under President Mirziyoyev, country has undertaken significant economic and political reforms. These reforms try to create an economy based on free market, promote foreign investment, ensure a peaceful and prosperous life for the citizens, and enhance Uzbekistan cooperation on the international stage. These reforms implemented under the new Uzbekistan initiative are both remarkable and beneficial for the people of Uzbekistan. Key feature of presidential President Mirziyoyev policy include constitutional reforms, the industrial revolution, economic uplift, the improvement of living standards, IT transformations, and robust educational reform. Sustainable development and the restoration of international harmony remain enduring aspiration for Uzbekistan, forming the cornerstone of presidential Mirziyoyev policy. The new constitution of Uzbekistan, which came into effect on May of this year, following a referendum conducted on April 30, signifies an important milestone in the country governance. In the line of these efforts, Uzbekistan has introduced the Uzbekistan 2030 development strategy, which outlined the national long-term economic and social goals. The country has actively sought to attract foreign investment and has entered into various trade and investment agreements. The government has made significant investment in the education, health sector, ensuring their continued development. Uzbekistan will persist on the path of comprehensive development in the years. The country's steadfast commitment to progress and prosperity remain unwavering under his leadership. Thank you once again, sir, for providing the opportunity to address here today.
Thank you for your kind words. Of course, you mentioned very important areas, and very importantly, we need to talk about what's happening in Uzbekistan to the world community, just like we mentioned earlier, and your institution, especially our friend Khalid Taimur Akram. He also is very active talking about the reforms in Uzbekistan. He's very active in publishing about the reforms in Uzbekistan. We always see his photos, see his video in our media about how he's informing the world community about the reforms in Uzbekistan. We really appreciate this, and we hope that your research will give us further proposals on what else needs to be done, and very importantly, how that should be done. Thank you very much for your kind words.
Thank you very much, Hafsa. And now I would also like to say a few words, because I have been there in Uzbekistan. I go almost 3 to 4 times every year, and every time I go to Uzbekistan, literally I find a new Tashkent, because there's a lot of new development happening in Uzbekistan, and I feel that President Shavkat Mirziyoyev, I always call him as the conqueror of hearts, because the way Uzbekistan has gathered all the Central Asian countries together, and the way Uzbekistan has initiated the ideas of Central South Asia connectivity, it is really commendable. Uzbekistan is one country which has resolved all the border issues with all the countries without any fight or without creating any sort of bad taste with anybody. So I would just say two things. That first, that the Election Commission of Uzbekistan has done extremely tremendous job, and they have been very, very active, not only during the elections, but before the elections also, because arranging a full-fledged election, training of the staff, and especially making the voter lists also. So they have been very, very active in that. And I must second what Dr. Mehboob has said, that the turnout remained big, because Election Commission made sure that they reach out to every house and to even those people who were admitted in the hospital. There were special teams going there. There were special teams going to the houses of disabled people. So this is one thing which is really commendable. And about transparency, I must tell one thing, that there were 3 tiers of checking a person's identity. Whenever a person used to come to the polling station, there was a person sitting on computer who would just check his identity, and that computer system was linked with the main server of the Election Commission, where the credentials were checked, and then the voter would go to the next counter, and over there his credentials were checked in the voters list, and then he was given a ballot paper. And there were many types of ballot paper. The ballot paper was in Uzbek language and Russian language, ballot paper for blind separately, and the Uzbek Latin language also. So the government and the Election Commission had made sure that everybody should understand and know about the process. And one more thing which I must appreciate is this, that at nowhere we did not see any kind of interference of police or government or anybody, any government agency. I did not find any government person in any of the polling stations. There was no police, there was nobody, and all the polling stations were managed by the polling staff themselves. And myself and Dr. Mehboob, we were talking on this thing, that we did not find any there. There was no law and order situation. People were coming very calmly and putting their vote, and the timing was convenient. So my special compliments to the Election Commission of Uzbekistan, and we would request Mr. Eldor to convey the appreciation of the from the Pakistani election observer side to the doctor. I will again request Dr. Mehboob to please throw a light on that why there was no police and no government thing was available, because Dr. Mehboob was really very surprised also. So
yes, indeed, I was surprised, because there was not a police, security guards or anything else. So I think the system is very strong. The electoral reforms were introduced by the Election Commission. That is very strong and deep-rooted. That's why there is no need to any security agency to look after the care of the people. So system is very strong, and the whole process is very peaceful. That's why. So I must appreciate the Election Commission in this regard, and the Uzbek government, that the citizens was very happy to cast their votes in a very good or pleasant atmosphere. People bring their children as well with them. So the children also witness the whole process of the elections. So this is just like a picnic day or a very good day, peaceful day. So all credit goes to Election Commission and Uzbek government, I think.
Mr. Eldor, would you like to say something?
Yes, I want to thank once again our speakers for their observations, for their comparisons, because I'm sure you have traveled to other countries to observe elections, and you have given very bright examples of Uzbek system, how it is somehow different from the practice that you could have witnessed in other countries. That is very much appreciated. Of course, we should also note that this process will be even more modernized, even more international standards will be implemented, because the process of getting feedback after each election and establishing working groups to, of course, to analyze those feedbacks is a crucial part of modernization of the electoral system. So that's why during these processes, the Central Election Commission's chairperson also noted that in between these elections, how many recommendations of international organizations were implemented into practice, and what are the other ones that will be implemented. So hopefully in the near future, I believe the next election will be parliamentary elections. You will be able to see even more changes in the electoral system to guarantee the elections are transparent, to guarantee even more possibilities, opportunities for the citizens of Uzbekistan to exercise their rights in voting. And of course, this process will be continued. Uzbekistan is open for the feedback, and for, we see how government officials are trying to get the opinions of many experts, many international observers on the election, so that they make it even more accessible, even more transferable. So that's why thank you very much for these kind words. Mr. Khalid Murakram.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eldor. I have already written an article on my observations, and I have also requested all the election observers to write their articles, and we will publish it. And similarly, I would also request to Dr. Mehboob to write his impressions, and we will get it published in Pakistani newspapers and on our website. You must have read my article I had sent you yesterday to Mr. Eldor. So the other articles we have requested to the election observers, once they will write, we will send it to you, and then you can send it to the Election Commission from our side. And hopefully tomorrow evening we have your election. So tomorrow 6 p.m. Pakistan and Uzbekistan, please come online and we will have the interview also.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khalid Murakram, for all your work in organizing this wonderful event. And I also want to thank the speakers, especially and our participants online observing this conversation. Wish you the best and hope to be in touch. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Thank you. Take care of yourselves. Thank you.